Good morning. Always nice to begin the day with you here on 3+U. I do hope you're having a good start to yours. We certainly are with ours, because every month here on 3+U we have a great chance to talk with somebody from the Chattanooga Tourism Company, always about things that you can do as a resident here of the Tennessee Valley, and then if you have friends and family coming in, ways to entertain them in this wonderful place that we get to call home. So Sean Phipps is back on the show to give us that education.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Usually when you and I are talking, it's some fun, funny thing, uplifting, fun restaurant to try, that kind of thing. A lot of people, and folks can forget this, come to Chattanooga, Sean, because of the history. Civil War history abounds here.
We do, yeah.
But we had a very prominent role at the turn of the 20th century that's kind of a blight on the city, but now we're honoring it and looking forward. Is that a fair setup?
Yeah, I think that is a fair setup. You know, it's Black History Month, and acknowledging that and some of the history that has taken place here in Chattanooga is important. And for a while, nobody talked about it. It was just kind of understood. And so the Walnut Street Bridge, a bridge that is crossed by millions of people every year, it's the center of our city. There is a dark history to it. A man named Ed Johnson in 1906 was lynched from that bridge for a crime that he did not commit. And for years and years and years, that story has been told. In the past 20, 30 years, local activists have tried to get some sort of notification about it, to get some sort of memorial, and they've done it. And it is a beautiful memorial at the south end of the Walnut Street Bridge, the Ed Johnson Memorial, that people can go to today and really remember that history.
Let's pause a second and watch this beautiful video that y'all put together, which you can share, by the way, from their website. And then when we come back from watching it, we'll talk a little bit more about the power of the memorial.
Thank you.
This CHA Spotlight features Chattanooga's culture, heritage, and the arts. As we pay tribute to Chattanooga's history, welcome to the Ed Johnson Memorial.
I began by just merely wanting to restore a cemetery. When we began the cleanup, an attorney by the name of Leroy Phillips came along and told me one day to come with him and take a walk, and he walked me over to the Ed Johnson headstone and told me about the story of Ed Johnson. And so for more than 20 years now, I've been helping to make sure that Ed Johnson's name is remembered. Have many symbolic gestures that just honors the life of Ed Johnson and who he was. And so I think it's a beautiful memorial, and Jerome just did an excellent job. And of course, he does wonderful work all around the country. But for us in Chattanooga, we're so proud of this work and thankful that he was the artist that was selected. If you know the story, you can find strength in the story. This story was just as important as any other story in Black history. Every person that's charged with a crime in any court in the United States now has that right to an appeal as a result of this case. This case is not just Chattanooga's history, it's America's history, because again, this story of Ed Johnson, unfortunately, that happened in 1906 is still happening in 2023. It's important for you to not only know the life of Ed Johnson, but to know this story so that we can all make sure that we don't repeat it.
For more of Chattanooga's culture, heritage, and the arts, Go to visitchattanooga.com.
So let me share a couple of personal things,
Sure.
if I may.
Sure.
So the first time I had an opportunity to go, I'm embarrassed to admit this, but maybe it's relevant, and really see the memorial.
Sure.
We were alone pretty much on the bridge with Linda Mines.
Oh, yeah.
And it was lovely because if you've ever been to Washington, D.C. to see the Vietnam Wall, you know how you hear going into it that you're going to feel something, but until you're there, you can't fully imagine it?
Right.
There was no noise, there was no clutter around us that day, and so we could walk and take in every word there at Ed Johnson Memorial and really picture yourself in that setting in 1906. It's
Yeah.
horrifying to think that that could have happened to somebody.
It's horrifying, and one of the things that we wanted to do with this video, and that you may have seen, is we didn't tell you the story. In
No,
that
you didn't
video.
tell the story.
We want you to go to the memorial and learn the story yourself, and see that, and to kind of experience that story firsthand. Of course, he was lynched, but there's so much more to it than that.
Okay, but may I say this?
Yes.
The package opened with these words of his.
Yes.
And it's purposefully kept in his vernacular. Don't
Yeah.
think it's I thought maybe they had missed a letter.
No.
But that's part of the beauty is
That's
just
what's on his headstone.
the sweetness of that man.
Yeah.
I am an innocent man.
Right.
I wish that Linda was here because maybe you'll know, not to give it away, but when LaFrederick said that this is America's story and about now you have the right to an appeal.
Right.
This, just to kind of tease and get people there,
Yeah.
this ended up being a Supreme Court case.
Yes, it did. So the Supreme Court stepped in. They realized that Ed Johnson was not getting a fair trial at the time, and the Supreme Court stepped in and actually, for the first time, announced a stay of execution for him. That stay of execution was ignored by local sheriffs, a group of local men, and that is the reason that he was lynched on the bridge. The Supreme Court stepped in and they gave him the freedom, and our local government ignored it.
I guess always the takeaway from a situation like that where you're learning history is the power of a voice and the power of silence.
Right.
And which side do you want to be on?
Right.
Right?
Yeah. Right.
So it's a good time because it is still Black History Month.
Yeah.
A lot of kids are gearing up for a winter break this weekend.
Sure.
A great time to go and maybe take a pause and see. Spring break if you're going to be in town. Regardless, take a time. But if you can avoid doing it on a beautiful Saturday afternoon, I would encourage you to, because there's something powerful about the quiet.
There is something powerful, a rainy day,
Yeah.
something that's just a little bit quiet. It's a great time to go reflect there.
And can we just give a shout out to LaFrederick Thurkill?
Amazing. He has been a champion for the Ed Johnson story for decades.
He is quite a gentleman.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
You can see this and many more of their Chattanooga spotlights at visitchattanooga.com. It's always great to talk about the fun and the beauty of our city, but to hear LaFrederick say that a positive still can come from this sad story is true, but it's always worth remembering. Ed Johnson deserves it. Thank you.